Hello students, today we are going to learn the second lesson on saying please, written by Alfred George Gardiner, born at Chelmsford, Essex in 1865. He started his career as a journalist at the age of 37 and he joined as an editor in the Daily News, London, and has written different type of articles and essays under the pseudonym means pen name, Alpha of the Plough. His essays are uniformly elegant, graceful and humorous. The Pillars of Society, Pebbles on the Shore, Many Furrows and Leaves in the Wind are best known essays. His uniqueness lies in his ability to teach the basic truth of life in an easy and amusing manner. He raised the question of morality in everyday life. In this particular lesson or essay, he points out the value of good manners in social life and emphasizes the importance of courtesy and politeness in daily behavior. He shows how polite speech and manners sweeten the atmosphere around and how discourtesy and ill manners spoil or pollute it. So, we got the central idea of this particular essay in the last part of this particular introduction. So, good manners and bad manners put their effects on us. It is the central idea of this particular essay, and he has given 2-3 examples in this particular essay. Let's start line by line. But before starting this lesson, I like to request you, please take your textbook with you and try to underline difficult words as well as write their meanings near them. So it will be easy for you in next reading. You will understand the whole lesson in single reading. Okay, let's start. On saying please. Liftman's incident. The young liftman in a city office who threw a passenger out of his lift the other morning and was fined means charged for the offense, was undoubtedly in the wrong. So one incident that took place in city office where a liftman has thrown a passenger from that particular lift and court of law fined him because of his illegal action. It was a question of please. The complainant entering the lift said top. The liftman demanded top please. So how this particular event took place, what actually happened there, it is given here in these lines. The complainant entering the lift. So the passenger entered the lift and he said he wanted to go to top floor and he just said top. The liftman demanded top please. Liftman warned that passengers should say top please, but instead of top please he just said top. And this concession means demand, being refused, he not only decline means denied. To comply means act with the instruction but hurl the passenger out of the lift. So he requested that passenger use please, top please, but he unheard his words and he denied to act like that liftman, and liftman became angry and he had thrown that particular passenger out of the lift. This of course was carrying a comment on manner too far. So this particular event is related to bad manners. Discourtesy means rudeness. is not a legal offense and it does not excuse assault and battery. Assault and battery means attack with threat and physical violence. So discourtesy is not a legal offense. If somebody behaves you badly, you cannot file a case against that particular person. It does not excuse assault and battery. Assault and battery means attack with threat and physical violence. So assault and battery is illegal things. But discourtesy is not legal offense. Assault and battery is legal offense. One example has given by a writer. If a burglar who enters anybody's property illegally trespassing, so burglar means who enter in your property illegally, breaks into my house and I knock him down. Knock him down means beat. The law will acquit. Acquit means not make me guilty. And if I am physically assaulted, it will permit me to retaliate. Retaliate means attack or assault with reasonable violence. So, illegal person entered or a person illegally enters in my house, law will permit me to stop that particular man, or if he attacked me violently, I have that type of freedom to attack on him. So law will permit some kind of violence there when a person illegally enters in your property. It does this because the burglar and my assailant and attacker have broken quite definite commands of the law. But no legal system could attempt to legislate against bad manners or could sanction the use of violence against something. But no legal system could attempt to legislate against bad manners. No law is ever made to stop bad manners of people. So there is no law for people's bad manners or could sanction the use of violence against something which it does not itself recognize as a legally punishable offense, and there is no provision for fine of people's wrong behavior. And our sympathy with the liftman, we must admit that the law is reasonable. Our sympathy, yes, we think that to charge that particular liftman is wrong, but he used violence, that is why his action is wrong. It would never do if we were at liberty to box people's ears, to hit with fist on ear or cheeks, with because we did not like their behavior or the tone of their voices, or scowl means angry expression on their faces. Our fist would never be idle, and the gutters of the city would run with blood all day. So it would never do if we were at liberty, if we have given some kind of freedom by law to act violently. People started beating each other because of their wrong behavior, because of their tone of voices and their facial expressions. People started attacking each other, and gutters of the city would run with blood all day. So everywhere you can observe wounded faces, and everywhere there is bloodshed. So if people have given such kind of freedom to attack violently each other for wrong behavior, tone of voices and their wrong facial expressions, so this is also wrong to give such kind of freedom. No law for discourtesy. I may be as uncivil as I may please, and the law will protect me against violent retaliation. So it is, I can live freely, and I may please, and the law will protect me against violent retaliation. If somebody attacked me violently, law will save me at that time. If I am rude, I behave wrongly, I may be haughty. Haughty means high opinion about himself and low opinion about others, means some kind of discrimination is there. Or boorish means rude, and there is no penalty to pay except the penalty of being written down an ill-mannered fellow. So in this particular line he said that if I may be haughty, boorish, rude, there is no penalty for my behavior. Only a tag will be given by people living in society, that is ill-mannered fellow. The law does not compel means force me to say please or attune my voice to other people's sensibility any more than it says that I shall not wax my mustache or dye my hair or wear ringlets. Ringlets means that hair lock down my back. It does not recognize the laceration, or laceration means tear, of our feelings in a case of compensation. There is no allowance for moral and intellectual damages in these matters. So here writer is trying to tell us that no law can force me to say please or make my voice simple by thinking sensibility feelings of other people. No, I shall not wax. Wax means remove my mustache. No law can force me whether to have mustache or remove my mustache. No law can force me to dye my hair or not to dye my hair. No law can force me whether I would wear ringlets. Ringlets means that is hair lock or not. So law cannot interfere these matters. It does not recognize the laceration of our feelings in a case for compensation. If my voices, my facial expression and my behavior hurt anybody's feelings, there is no legal way for compensation. There is no allowance for moral and intellectual damages in these matters, and it is most important thing that morally and intellectually there is damage. It is social damage, but no allowance is there, no law is there. No religion or law cover all offenses. This does not mean that the damages are negligible. After all, it is moral and intellectual damages. These damages we cannot neglect. It is probable that the liftman was much more acutely hurt by what he regarded means considered, as a slur. Slur means blot, stigma, upon his social standing than he would have been if he had a kick on the shins, below part of knee, for which he could have got a legal redress. Redress means remedy. So it is morally he hurt, that passenger hurts that particular liftman, because he started thinking that because of his social standard he was fined by court of law. So he started thinking negatively, and if that passenger attacked that particular liftman violently and kicked on shins, shins means below part of knee, that liftman should have legal remedy at that moment. The pain of a kick on the shins soon passes away, but the pain of a wound to our self respect or our vanity, vanity means pride, may poison a whole day. So, that passenger directly attacked on liftman's self respect. Physical wound, we can get recover from physical wound very easily, but if somebody hurt our self respect and pride, this particular wound remain much more time. So that passenger hurt liftman's self respect and pride. It is his moral damage, and that is why he disturbed a lot whole day. I can imagine that liftman denied the relief of throwing the author of his wound out of the lift. So here that writer trying to tell us that he may have thought a lot because of that insult. Brooding means thinking a lot over the insult by the other, and visiting his wife in the evening as the only way of restoring his equilibrium. Equilibrium means feelings. So he started thinking about bad behavior of that passengers, and he disturbed a lot till he meets his wife at evening and solve that matter, recover his senses back. So such thing happen with that liftman. For there are few things more catching than bad temper and bad manners. When Sir Anthony Absolute bullied means bullied, that is insulted, Absolute insulted Captain Absolute, and the latter went out and bullied his man Fag. Whereupon Fag went out downstairs and kicked the page boy. Page boy means attendant. So one incident has given from The Rivals, a comedy play, in which Sir Anthony Absolute insulted Captain Absolute. Captain Absolute became angry. He insulted Fag. Fag is his servant. Then Fag went downstairs and he kicked the page boy. Page boy means attendant. Probably the man who said top to the liftman was really only getting back on his employer who had not said good morning to him because he himself had been henpecked. Henpecked means criticized. Now, whatever given in that play, The Rivals, that is chain, the behavior of Sir Anthony Absolute was totally wrong. He behaved wrongly with his servant, that is Captain Absolute. Captain Absolute behaves wrongly with Fake. Fake behaves wrongly with page boy. So it is a chain. The same things we can observe in this particular matter of that liftman. Top to the liftman was really only getting back on his employer who had not said good morning to him because he himself had been henpecked. So the man who entered in that lift, who said top, was not responded properly by his boss as he had said to him good morning. That is why he disturbed from that particular point. That boss himself had been henpecked, criticized at the breakfast by his wife. So that boss is also hurt by his wife at the time of breakfast, to whom the cook had been insolent. Insolent means arrogant. So the wife also morally hurt by that cook. Then because that cook arrogantly behaved with her, because the housemaid had answered her back. That cook is also hurt by housemaid because housemaid had replied badly to that cook. We infect the world with our ill humors. Bad manners probably do more to poison the stream of general life than all the crimes in the calendar. Calendar means trials in court. So, bad tempers, our bad behaviors put poisons in the stream of general life. So, total peaceful atmosphere is spoiled by our bad temper, bad behavior. General life, all the crimes in the calendar, trials in the court, and these moral crimes are bigger in numbers compared to the trials going on in court. For one wife who gets a black eye means dishonored, from an otherwise good natured husband, there are 100 who live a life of martyrdom, sufferings under the shadow of moros. Moros means unhappy temper. So, one truth he has given here, that good natured husband also tortured his wife, and most of the time wives are always remain in unhappy condition, so they are harassed in their houses. But all the same, the law cannot become the guardian of our private matters, but this matter is not considered as a legal matter, it is considered as a private matter, and that is why no law is there to check cruelty of husbands there in their houses. No decalogue means a religious book, we can say Bible, could cover the vast area of offenses, and no court could administer a law which govern means control our social civilities, our speech. So here writer is trying to tell us that no religious book covers these things, these offenses, that is moral offenses, intellectual offenses, and no law can control our social civility. No law can teach us that social manner and other things. No law can control our speech. No law can control our tilt of our eyebrows, that is expression of anger, and all our moods and manners. So law cannot control our facial expressions, our way of speech, our rudeness and other things. Humble words work as a lubricant in life's machine. But though we are bound to endorse means support, the verdict means judgment, against the liftman, most people will have a certain sympathy with him. But though we are bound to endorse the verdict against the liftman, most people will have certain sympathy with him. Yes, we have sympathy that court of law has charged him, fined him because of his action, but it is correct because he used violence in his quarrel. While it is true that there is no law that compels means force us to say please, there is a social practice much older and much more sacred than any law, which enjoins means that is urge us to be civil. So social practice is much more important. No law can force us to say please, but if there is social practice which is sacred one, automatically we behave properly. And the first requirement of civility is that we should acknowledge a service. So It is our duty to accept these things. Please and thank you are the small change with which we pay our ways as a social beings. So these two words are very much important. Please, thank you. They can bring proper changes in society. They are the little courtesies by which we keep the machine of life oiled and running sweetly. If we use these words, please and thank you, automatically it works as a lubricant in the machine of life. Life's machine will run sweetly. They put our intercourse means communication upon the basis of friendly cooperation, an easy give and take instead of on the basis of superiors dictating to inferiors. So please and thank you, these words automatically rooted democratic values in your society instead of dictating types of principles in society. It is a very vulgar mind that would wish to command where he can have the service for asking and have it with willingness and good feeling instead of resentment. So, to dictate others is a wrong thought, it is a wrong thing. So, please and thank you, these are very important words that rooted, that gives a way of good democratic values. So these things have given here in these particular paragraphs. Then 2-3 examples he has given there, that how bad manners change atmosphere quickly, good manners change atmosphere quickly. Aggressive conductor. I should like to feature in this connection, my friend, the polite conductor. By this discriminating means able to judge title, I don't intend to suggest a rebuke means speak angrily to conductors generally. So here writer is trying to tell us that I am not telling you about all conductors and all conductors are rude and having bad manners. No, on the contrary, I am disposed means willing to think that there are few classes of men who come through the ordeal means painful experiences of a very trying calling better than bus conductors do. So here he is trying to tell us that it is just an example. Most of the people from society experienced difficulties in their life as conductors do. Here and there you will meet an unpleasant specimen. So most of the time we found conductors in dangerous mood, in angry mood, who regards means consider the passengers as his natural enemies. Most of the time these conductors consider their passengers as their enemies, as creature whose chief purpose on the bus is to cheat him. So to cheat conductor they enter in that bus, and who can only be kept reasonably honest by a loud voice and an aggressive manner. So automatically these conductors adopted such kind of wrong behaviors. They became aggressive and they use loud voice to keep check on passengers. But this type is rare. Here he corrected his sentence. Such kinds of conductors are not easily seen in society, rarer than it used to be. I fancy the public owes much to the underground railway company. So he has given one example of underground railway company which runs buses for insisting on a certain standard of civility in its servants and taking care that standard is observed. So they force their conductors to behave humbly, use proper manners to behave with customers, and whether conductors are behave properly or not, it is thoroughly checked by this company. In doing this, it is not only makes things pleasant for traveling public but performs an important social service. So they are not checking their conductors, they are not change their workers' behavior, but indirectly they are making provision for good atmosphere in society. So one example of kind conductors has given by writer here. It is not therefore with any feeling of unfriendliness of conductors as a class that I pay a tribute to a particular member of that class. I first became conscious means feel, of his existence one day when I jumped onto a bus and found that I had left home without any money in my pocket. So, most of the time you consider conductor as a bad tempered man, but here he is trying to tell us about kind hearted conductor, and he shared one experience with us in which he entered in a bus and found that he had left his pocket at home. So there is no money in his pocket for ticket. Everyone has had the experience and knows the feeling, the mixed feelings which the discovery arouses. So I frightened a lot at that moment because I was traveling without money and conductor is there to ask for ticket. You are annoyed because you look like a fool at the best and like a knave. Knave means dishonest person. So at that moment, what is your condition? You looked fool and you disturb a lot. You would not be at all surprised if conductor eyed you coldly as much as to say, yes, I know that the stale old trick. So conductor is trying to observe you and he is indirectly trying to say that no, I know you are cheating me. Now then off you get and he forces you to get out from that particular bus. And even if the conductor is good fellow and lets you down easily, you are faced with the necessity of going back and the inconvenience perhaps of missing your train or your engagement. If conductor is good fellow and humbly he requested you to get out of that particular bus, you can't reach to your place on time. You will miss your train as well as your engagement. So such things happen. You experience these things many a times. Having searched my pockets in vain for stray coppers means coins, and having found I was utterly penniless, I told the conductor with as honest a face as I could assume that I couldn't pay the fare and must go back for money. So he started searching whether there is money in his pocket and he humbly told these things to conductor that please stop this bus, I don't have money for fare, I must go back to my home for receiving my pocket. Oh, you needn't get off, that's all right, said he. So instead of telling me to get out of that bus, that conductor said me, okay, it doesn't need to get off from this particular bus. And writer also said, all right, but I haven't a copper on me. Writer told him that he he doesn't have copper, he doesn't have money. Oh, I will book you through, he replied. And conductor replied him that it doesn't matter, I will give you ticket. Where do you want to go? And that conductor asked that where writer wanted to go, and he handled his bundle of tickets with the air of a man who was prepared to give me a ticket for anywhere from the bank to Hong Kong. So he started handling a bunch of tickets with him as if he is giving me a ticket from bank to Hong Kong. I said it was very kind of him and told him where I wanted to go. And as he gave me the ticket, I said, but where shall I send the fare? So that conductor has given ticket to writer. Writer said thank you and asked that where shall he send his fare? And conductor replied, oh, you will save me some day, all right, he said cheerfully. Okay, you travel many times on this route. Whenever next time you meet me, you can give that fare to me. He turned to go, and then luckily my fingers, still wandering in the corner of my pockets, lighted on a shilling, and the account was squared. Squared means adjusted. So luckily I got a shilling in my pocket. I handed over that shilling to that conductor and closed that matter. But that fact did not lessen the glow of pleasure which so good natured an action had given me. So this matter impressed me a lot. I was totally impressed by the behavior of that conductor. Example related shoes. A few days later, days after, my most sensitive toe was trampled. Trampled means crushed under someone's feet, on rather heavily as I sat reading on the top of a bus. I looked up with some anger and more agony. Agony means pain, and saw my friend of cheerful countenance. So, a few days later, when he was traveling once again on the same route, somebody pressed his foot and he became very angry because his foot was hurt. He looked angrily towards that man who placed his foot on writer's foot, and he found the same conductor is there saying, sorry sir, I know these are heavy boots, got them because my own feet get trod on so much, and now I am treading on other people's. Hope I didn't hurt you sir. So he said sorry to writer and told him that the same thing is experienced by me. Many a passenger pressed my toe, and that is why, to save my foot from such accidents, I used to wear such foot. So sorry for my mistake. He had hurt me, but he was so nice about it that I assured him he hadn't. So he was expressing his experience in a humble way. I get relief from my pain. I started liking his words. After this, I began to observe him whenever I boarded his bus and found a curious pleasure in the constant good nature of his bearing means manner. So he was kind hearted man. His behavior impressed a lot to writer, and writer started observing that conductor whenever he entered his bus. He was a really good natured man, and he behaved properly with his passengers. He seemed to have an inexhaustible means unlimited fund of patience and a gift for making his passengers comfortable. So unlimited fund of patience was there observed by a writer in that conductor, and a gift for making his passengers comfortable, and it is a gift to that particular conductor by nature that he comfortable make his passengers comfortable. I noticed that if it was raining, he would run up the stairs to give someone the tip that there was room inside. When there is raining and people rushly comes inside that bus, he started telling them that there is vacant place upward and somewhere in that bus. With old people, he was as considerate, thinks of other feelings as a son. So behavior with old people is like that old people is nothing but his parents. He behaved as if these old peoples are his parents. He helped them in a proper way. As a son and with children, as solicitous means caring as a father. So he cared these old people a lot. He cares that these old people also. He had evidently a peculiarly warm place in his heart for young people. So for young people, he also is having the same attitude and always indulge in some merry jest means amuse with them, and he happily communicates with young people also. If he had a blind man on board, it was not enough to set him down safely on the pavement. He would call to Bill in front to wait while he took him across the road or around the corner. So if he found blind man on board, to set him down safely on the pavement, he helped him to come outside that bus and stop that driver and help him to cross that particular road. In short, I found that he irradiated some such an atmosphere of good temper and kindliness that a journey with him was a lesson in natural courtesy and good manners. So his behavior automatically changed the atmosphere and journey become good. What struck me particularly was the ease with which he got through his work. If bad manners are infectious, so also are good manners. So bad manners are infectious, good manners are also infectious. Both put good or bad effects on us. If we encounter incivility, most of us are apt to become uncivil. If somebody behaves us wrongly, the same kind of behavior is there from us to that particular rude man. But is an unusual, uncouth means that impolite person who can be disagreeable with sunny people. But most of the people are not such kind of person. They remain good in bad condition also. It is with manners as with the weather. As manners are compared with weather, as weather change, manner also change, manner change time to time. Nothing clears up my spirits like a fine day, said Kids was totally happy one day, and he has written this line in his poem that God has given me such a memorable day. No day is as good as this one. And a cheerful person descends higher to low on even the gloomiest of us with something of the benediction of a fine day. So, any kind person can change your bad day into good day. And so, it was always fine weather on a polite conductor's bus and his own civility, his conciliatory, friendly feelings, address, and good humored bearing relations infected his passengers. So, good conductors changed the total atmosphere in that bus because of his friendly feelings, his bearing, good humored bearing, infected his passengers. It's it puts effect on people traveling in that bus, enlightening their spirits. He lightened his own task. So he is not only lightening the spirit of passengers, but he glorified his own task. His gaiety was not a wasteful luxury, but a sound investment. So, whatever work he is doing and whatever good behavior has there, it is not a wasteful luxury but a sound investment. It is investment. Good behavior, civility are good investments. It affect a lot and change the society properly. I have missed him from my bus route of late. I return back from my workplace late evening, so most of the time I could not enter in that bus. But I hope I missed that particular bus and could not get that bus in which that kind-hearted bus conductor is there. But I hope that only means that he has carried his sunshine onto another road. So he may have spread goodness everywhere in another road, on another road. It cannot be too widely diffused. Diffused means spread in a rather drab word. And I make no apologies. Apologies means sorry for writing a panegyric means speech on an unknown bus conductor. I am not saying sorry that I am writing about this unknown person, unknown bus conductor, but because of his good behavior, I must write and I must convey these things to others also. If Wordsworth could gather lessons of wisdom from the poor leech means bloodsucker gatherer on the lonely moor means desert, I see no reason why laser people should not take a lesson in conduct from one who shows how a very modest calling may be dignified by good temper and kindly feeling. So, Wordsworth, in his poem, he told us that he learned a good lesson from poor leech gatherer. So, poor leech gatherer became the advisor of Wordsworth. So, why not we can get lessons of civility from good tempered and kind hearted men in our society. Politeness is the answer to run life's machine smoothly. So, here, how can we change the matter? How can we change the behavior of our society? The answer has given by writer. It is matter of general agreement that the war has had a chilling effect upon those little everyday civilities of behavior that sweeten the general air. So, war destroyed each and everything. So, it changed civil behavior that sweetened the atmosphere. We must get those civilities back if we are to make life kindly and tolerable for each other. It is our duty to regain back that civil or good things which we had left behind. We cannot get them back by invoking the law. By law, we cannot put these good things in society. We cannot install all these good things, good manners in society through law. The policeman is a necessary symbol and the law is necessary institution for a society that is still somewhat lower than the angels. So only law cannot bring long lasting changes in society. Lower than the angels means less than perfect. Only law cannot make changes. Law cannot teach you goodness and other things. Somewhere law will check your violent actions, but your civility will not be stopped by law. Your civility will not be encouraged by law. But the law can only protect us against material attack, nor will the liftman's way of meeting moral affront by physical violence help us to restore the civilities. Through violent actions, you cannot restore the civilities. I suggest to him that he would have had a more subtle and effective revenge if he had treated the gentleman who would not say please with elaborate politeness. So here writer is trying to tell us that how our humble actions are important. If that passenger in that lift denied to say top please, that liftman should behave very much politely instead of his violent action. If he remains silent, humble, and he had done his work, it would be better, said writer. So, violent action is not the answer for that. Politeness is the answer for that particular passenger. He would have had the victory not only over the boor means rude, but over himself, and that is the victory that counts. So, if he remained polite, it would be his own victory. It is like a spiritual victory. The polite man may lose the material advantage, but he always has the spiritual victory. I recommend to the liftman a story to Chesterfield. Chesterfield is a statement, is author, and one incident related to Chesterfield has given by writer here, that how that liftman should behave at that moment. In his time, the London streets were without the pavements of today. And the man who took the wall had the driest footing. I never give the wall to a scoundrel, said a man who met Chesterfield one day in the street. So Chesterfield was there on street, and unknown man came and started telling Chesterfield that I prefer to walk on this particular pavement which is near the wall. But for bad people or scoundrel, I am not ready to give this way. And Chesterfield come on the road leaving that particular pavement and said, I always do. Means he is trying to tell that man that you are fool, and to fool I am giving this particular pavement way, said Chesterfield, stepping with a bow into the road. I hope the liftman will agree that his revenge was much more sweet than if he had plunged the fellow into the mud. So here that writer is trying to tell us that for violent behavior, your humble behavior is the answer. So good manners make your society good. So it is our moral duty to maintain that humbleness, kind heartedness always. And this is the specific message that a writer is giving us through this particular essay. Thank you very much, student.